Right now on the National Weather Desk, tracking the tropics, we're keeping our eyes on several different systems in the Atlantic. A show of lights. We look at why the northern lights have been putting on such a show this week.
And the colors that you see in the sky, that's the result of those electrons running into the nitrogen and the oxygen.
And wildfire season isn't over. How to prevent and prepare for autumn wildfires.
So you don't want to burn leaves. You certainly don't want to be making bonfires or campfires when a red flag warning is issued by the National Weather Service.
And we head to Michigan to check in on the apple crops as apple picking season gets underway.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. We begin today with a look at the tropics. There are a few systems out there that we're keeping our eyes on, and we have meteorologist Brian Vandergraff, who is tracking all the action for us. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Angela. Yeah, Nigel in the middle of the Atlantic. It is a hurricane, and it has been powerful at times. Right now, it's just going to stay out to sea and not a factor for the U.S. or North America. Meanwhile, a new wave coming off the coast of Africa, so we'll be watching this through the coming week. And then down through the southeastern portion of the United States, you see this area of interest, about a 30% chance of tropical development. While not a great chance for tropical development, it will be a coastal storm that will impact portions of the eastern United States just in time for the weekend, the first weekend of fall. We're looking at showers, winds, clouds, and cool temperatures from the Carolinas through the mid-Atlantic, Washington, Baltimore, up through New York, and even into New England. So tropical or not, it's definitely going to make for a not-so-nice weekend upcoming. Angela?
All right, thanks, Brian. And when flooding sweeps through a community, you can see, major damage right away, but it takes additional time and also observation to count the entire cost of these disasters. Bob Aaron has more from West Virginia.
A team including Kanawha County and state emergency management officials, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the Small Business Administration is adding up the damage from recent flooding in eastern Kanawha County. That damage must reach certain levels to trigger a disaster declaration for FEMA to help public agencies and individuals. The survey is revealing more damage.
We're finding homes that probably should be in the destroyed category that are not. And we're finding some destroyed and significantly damaged homes that were not reported yet. So what we want to do is have a good report and have an accurate report.
Stephanie Sands says the mobile home she rented out was damaged, swept down the road, and ended up in her carport.
The girl that lives here was inside of it when it picked it up and moved it too, so that was not good.
Despite extensive damage, no serious injuries were reported in those floods.
People are still digging out from this flood, but it's unclear if the level of damage will be enough to bring substantial federal aid here to West Virginia and Kanawha County.
We're finding a lot of damage that has not been reported yet, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we have it or not.
Even without a presidential disaster declaration, some federal help in the form of SBA loans could be available. The federal and state survey will also look at flood damage in Boone, Calhoun, Clay, and Harrison counties.
And over the last few days, several parts of the country are getting really great views of the northern lights. This video was sent to us through Chime In from Patrick Thompson in Indiana. You can see it right here. He was able to capture really some amazing shooting stars. And this photo is from a viewer in Wisconsin. So what exactly causes the northern lights, also known, of course, as the aurora borealis? Here's meteorologist Lindsay Storrs with the answer.
It all has to do with the sun and the earth. The earth has a magnetic field around it which protects the earth quite a bit. Well, the sun produces what are called sunstorms or solar wind. It can be called both, but basically that's charged protons and electrons that come out of the sun and get shot into space. Well, some of those can get caught up in our magnetic field and they can enter the Earth's atmosphere at the magnetic field's weakest point, which is the north and the south poles. When that happens, those electrons interact with the molecules that we have in our atmosphere, the oxygen and the nitrogen, and that creates an excited state in those molecules. And the colors that you see in the sky, that's the result of those electrons running into the nitrogen and the oxygen that we have in our atmosphere. So the different colors that you see are based on how high up in the atmosphere it is and what molecule those electrons are running into. And that's what causes these northern lights.
And two sharks that washed up on a Pensacola beach in recent days are getting plenty of attention and leaving many wondering what caused this rare occurrence. Sha'de Ray has more.
Take a look at this video of 4 men pulling a longfin mako shark back into the water on Pensacola Beach. Animals can beach themselves for a number of reasons: forced ashore by abnormal currents, getting lost, or hunting for food. That's according to stranding coordinator Kennedy Brinley.
You have to think maybe that animal was sick or injured. It could have died due to stress. Maybe somebody caught it offshore, and then due to being stressed out, it could have stranded that way.
Saturday, a great hammerhead shark was also found on Pensacola Beach. Brinley says if people find a beach shark, don't pull it backwards by its fins.
Sharks always have to be moving forward, and that's why when you see them swimming, they're always moving forward. So whenever they are pulled backwards, that is allowing the opportunity for drowning to occur.
Brinley says there is a need for specific marine life rescue crews that can be equipped to save sharks that are in distress. She tells me the beachgoers did give the mako a chance at survival. Brinley says she can't confirm that's the same mako shark that was found dead in the water the next day.
And this Saturday marks the first day of fall, and Maine is a popular destination for people who want to see the brilliant fall colors. Meteorologist Emily Santorum has more on the leaves changing this season and what you can expect to see if you live in Maine or plan to travel there to see these autumn colors.
Fall is just days away. There are some things that will heavily impact the transformation of trees. The major one is all that rain we've had this summer. At the Portland Jetport, more than 17 inches of rain fell from June to August. That brings the total amount of rain to almost 44 inches for the year. Other areas saw even more, like Poland, Maine. If you live there, you've seen more than 22 inches of rain this summer, bringing the year-to-date total to 45 inches. Unfortunately, that excessive rainfall will likely have a negative impact on the upcoming fall foliage. Supersaturated soil will lead to some leaves changing earlier, like maple trees in swampy areas. It will also lead to a softer and less bright fall. As for fresher, leaves produce sugar, and at night those sugars try to escape. When nights are cooler, those sugars are kept in the leaf, which leads to warmer. The extra sustained water will actually break down those sugars in a bad way and will cause colors to be softer. The peak for fall foliage may come later than usual this year, but will be long-lasting due to water stress. A foliage expert says that the best locations to catch the beautiful colors will be in northern Maine, around Acadia, and in southern New England.
And trees will soon be shedding their leaves as well, meaning a hefty job clearing them out of your yard. But it doesn't have to be. Meteorologist Garrett Hyde shows us how we can use those leaves for a greener lawn.
And as the temperatures continue to fall as we continue into the fall, the leaves themselves will not be far behind. And of course, raking for some can be a bit of a chore. But of course, on top of raking up compostable leaves into non-biodegradable plastic bags just to go into landfills, might just be a better option to leave them be, pun intended.
One benefit too is if you do mulch your leaves directly into the lawn, so just incorporate that into your mowing schedule already. You're reducing work. You don't need to rake those leaves all the way to the curb or bag them or put them in a container. You can just mulch them directly into the lawn. The benefit of that is it actually gives a kickstart to your soil system and to your lawn for the next spring season, provides those nutrients right back into the soil.
Another thing to consider as well, if the leaf coverage along your yard is rather sparse, it's totally okay to just leave it as is, as the whole leaf. Using a mulching mower works best, but if you have just a regular mower, that totally works as well. It might take a few extra passes, but those mulch leaves can also be used not only in your yard, but also in gardens, composting bins, or regular mulch, just to act as a regular weed suppressant. And there is a caveat here to consider. If you do leave your leaves, make sure the layer isn't too thick, as it can smother the grass underneath and create bald patches on your yard.
And coming up on the National Weather Desk, there's still plenty of time left in wildfire season. We'll explain what you need to know about wildfires and red flag warnings. And we'll check in on apple crops in Wisconsin. But as we head to break, we take in views of Lake Minnewanka and Alberta, Canada.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have a beautiful stretch of weather on the way in the Northeast in the coming days. High pressure remains firmly in control of our weather. Temperatures will be running in the low to mid 70s. It should be a nice September day today. The humidity stays low and the wind will be lighter than yesterday as well. Here we are during the morning hours. Temps are starting on a cool note. We can lose the light jacket by afternoon. Low to mid 70s will be common for highs for not only this afternoon, but Thursday as well.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. During the day on Wednesday, starting off with some cool temperatures, but by afternoon, look at this, with some partial to, partly to mostly sunny skies, we'll say. Temperatures getting well into the 70s and maybe even touching 80 in some of the warm spots. Overall, a good-looking day. Fair weather, high pressure is our fair weather friend, and our latest weather maker remains in control for the day. Get outside and enjoy. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your Southeast forecast highs for today. Looking at 86 degrees in Nashville, 86 Birmingham, 83 in Raleigh, make it about 85, 82 in Atlanta, 88 in Tampa, West Palm, and Jacksonville. Looking at plenty of sunshine across the Southeast, but down in Florida, expect to see afternoon showers and thunderstorms as we continue to see a stationary front kind of parked over the area up around Raleigh, Atlanta. Plenty of sunshine, but afternoon heavy rain expected over parts of Florida.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Wildfires are on the rise and the real estate market could take a hit. First Street Foundation just released a report today identifying areas of the country where insurance companies are dropping policies due to wildfire risk. As a result, though, home values are plummeting. Emily Gracie spoke to a climate expert with the nonprofit to find out how and where this is happening.
Since about 2016, we've gone from about $2 to $3 billion a year in terms of wildfire damages up to a peak of around $17 billion just a couple of years ago in 2022. And concurrently with that, we've seen structures destroyed increase. So it's not only that we're having more acres burned, we're spending more money fighting these fires, but the wildfires are happening in places where people live now more often. And because of that, we're seeing these costs skyrocket.
From reading your report, it seems that insurance companies are dropping people who are in high-risk areas. Is that true?
Yeah, the insurance companies are in a tough spot in a lot of these states. So insurance companies in California, for instance, and they're part of what's called the FAIR plan there, which is designed to make sure that there's affordable insurance or at least some type of an insurance option for anybody. The biggest problem with that for insurance companies today is that there's a lot of policy regulations around what they're able to do, what they're able to price in regards to their premiums. So they're being hit with these restrictions around only looking at backwards facing risk, not looking at climate change as it moves into the future. And the biggest way to kind of think about the impact that this is having on their ability to price risk properly is that there's an imposed 7% cap on how much they can raise premiums year over year.
So tell me what the purpose of this information coming from First Street is. What are you hoping to get from this?
Our goal really in producing this research is that we wanted to try to quantify, what is this climate bubble? We're already seeing people have to go into the FAIR plan in California or the Citizens insurance plan in Florida and Louisiana, which is their insurer of last resort. But there's another, 35 million or so properties across the country that are at risk of having some kind of an insurance-related correction. Just sort of said a different way, about a quarter of the properties across the country are at risk of being in this insurance climate bubble.
And to hear how other factors beyond climate change are driving wildfires, check out the longer version of this interview. We've also linked First Street's Risk Factor website. That way you can put in your address and find out your climate risk. Just search the National Weather Desk on YouTube. Well, there is still plenty of time left in this year's wildfire season. And if you live in an area prone to wildfires, you have probably heard of something called red flag warnings. But what exactly is that? Ed Russo explains red flag warnings and why they are simply so important.
So what really starts a wildfire? Oftentimes it's caused by a campfire or bonfire, something even as small as a cigarette butt that was improperly disposed. So when you have red flag conditions, meaning the air is super dry and you have gusty winds, you can easily have just one burning ember fly away, and maybe just 25 yards away, that burning ember will light up an entire tree in flames, and then the wildfire spreads from there. So you may have heard the term red flag warning. Well, what's that mean? That basically means that conditions are present for wildfires and the spread of them. So that means very low relative humidity, and that is usually combined with gusty winds, because gusty winds help the fire spread and also feeds the fire oxygen. So you don't want to burn leaves. You certainly don't want to be making bonfires or campfires when a red flag warning is issued by the National Weather Service. And keep in mind, most wildfires are caused by humans. Campfires, bonfires, improper disposal of burning items like cigarette butts. And remember, just one single tiny little ember is enough in dry, windy conditions to light up a whole forest in fire.
And now to the northeast Wisconsin, actually, where apple picking season is just getting started. Along the lakeshore, one orchard is expecting a bountiful crop of fruit. Eric Peterson also reports family traditions and some sweet memories are also ripe for picking.
At Hillside Apples in Kewaunee County, trees are heavy with this season's fruit.
These are Cortlands right here that we're looking at. We're just starting to pick them, so they're colored nice, they're red all the way around.
Owner Bill Wraithley says a dry start gave way to timely July rains, and he's expecting a big harvest here.
As far as volume of apples, it is a way above average. So I would call it a bumper crop this year, for sure.
Wraithley grows about 30 different varieties at this 25-acre orchard near Casco. He says Honeycrisp, McIntosh, and Cortland are the most popular.
We do tell customers, sample apples before you fill a whole bag full, make sure that you like them.
Yeah.
So they are at different stages of ripeness, each variety, so they start out tart. As they ripen and progress, they get sweeter and sweeter.
Larry Mako and his wife Karen say they pick Cortland apples here every September.
They're nice and red and juicy and prime. Really good.
Okay. And you tasted one earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to do that.
Right. I got to make sure they're good.
All right.
And they are.
Why do you like these, the Cortlands versus anything else?
They're a lot tartar.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the only time I like apples is when they're just picked off the tree. I don't like them when it gets soft.
And while favorite types of apples may vary, Bill Wraithley says traditions and memories might begin with a single trip to the orchard.
I've had families just this weekend. I had one said, we started coming out here when my son was born, and he's 14 years old now. And I've had people, like even beyond that. We've been here. This would be our 26th or 27th crop. And I know of some people that have been here since day one with us.
And we're not just in fall season. We're also in a period of time called hyperphagia. That's when bears are preparing for hibernation, a crucial time to be extra bear aware, though, if you plan to enjoy the great outdoors this fall. Kylie Gibson spoke to an expert about the best way to stay safe during this time with more bears out there.
From black bears to grizzlies, all will be filling up during this state before going into hibernation.
For grizzlies last year, it was fairly quiet, and this year, ghostly quiet. People were seeing plenty of grizzlies, but there were just so many natural foods that our black bears and our grizzly bears just were up feeding on huckleberries, service berries, hawthorn berries, just minding their own P's and Q's.
Much like a bee, bear conflicts are often a result of human interference or error. Having bear-safe garbage cans and hanging foods 100 yards from camps are just a couple of solutions. If you do find yourself in a close vicinity to bears, it helps to know the where, whens, and hows of using bear spray.
So bear spray is the number one. You want to have it with you, not buried in your pack, but really easy to access. So whether that's on a belt holster, there's lots of different devices that you can get out there. Some that you can carry right here in your chest, right at your waist. So just make sure it's in a spot where you can grab it quickly.
And before we take a short break, let's take flight over the desert Southwest.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael taking a look at your weather across the Midwest here. We do have some scattered rain across part of the Midwest, but temperature-wise, we're going to be heating up into the 80s for most of the area, 70s and 80s heading into the day tomorrow with, again, some scattered showers and thunderstorms across part of the area. And still seeing some of that across the plains, especially there into the Dakotas and also Nebraska heading into Friday. But a lot of the Ohio Valley continuing to stay dry, setting us up for one of the driest Septembers ever.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It's downright nippy early in the morning. We're at 59 over in Amarillo, 69 in Oklahoma City, 70s elsewhere. That's rain cooled up there. Could see a few little storms from Oklahoma back up into North Texas today, along with a very weak front that's trying to make its way south but won't get much further. Temperatures will warm back up to summer-like levels again for the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. We've got cooling temperatures coming in along the western side. Those fall chilly temperatures are on their way. And as this big upper low drops down from Canada, it's going to instigate quite a few showers and thunderstorms, especially across the Rockies. Otherwise, it's fairly clear, but we're expecting some cool air to continue southward. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Look at this funnel cloud spotted by the chief meteorologist from our West Palm Beach station. A stall-out front is dropping heavy showers and some strong storms. This was sudden and did not trigger a warning, but we're told it showed up on radar. And this bear apparently found a satisfying snack in this bird feeder in Michigan.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, did you know that you could use the sound of thunder and light from lightning to know how far away a storm is? Meteorologist Emily Walters explains.
Have you ever heard of counting the time between the lightning strike and thunder to tell how far away a thunderstorm is? Well, there definitely is truth to that, and the reason why is because light travels faster than sound. So if you see that flash of lightning, you can start counting and then stop once you hear the thunder. Now that you have your number, you're going to divide it by 5. Every 5 seconds is 1 mile. So if the lightning and the thunder are happening at the same time, that storm is pretty much right on top of you.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at the best ways to avoid seasonal fall allergies. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Wednesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.